Well, I discovered a little problem. I had all this assembled yesterday, and it was time to place the battery in the fuselage. The question was where to put it. Well, as it turns out, it needs to be about 89 inches behind the fuselage, which is not ideal, of course. I needed it to balance at 10 5/8 right here, which would be the center of my wings. I got this heavy motor that's 106 grams way out here. Well, this battery is only 86 grams, and in order for it to balance where I wanted it to, it was going to have to be way out there. It's a center of gravity problem, so if you wonder about that, go check out one of my videos about center of gravity. But what I've decided to do, in order to use my small battery, because I don't want to have to use this to balance it, because that's just adding weight unnecessarily, I would like to be able to use this. In order to be able to use this battery, what I'm going to do is chop 5 inches off the front of my plane here, and essentially move my firewall back here so that my propeller is essentially even with the front of my wings. The math on the board over there shows that this plan will work. It'll allow me to place this. I'll still have to place it back here in the tail, but I'll have to place it 2.5 inches from the end of the fuselage, which is luckily inside the fuselage, which is what I want. And then if I decide later to use the heavier battery for more runtime, I can place it actually even closer because it weighs more. So that'll be even better. So I'm going to go ahead now and chop this off and scoot everything back. I'm going to go ahead and mount this here, and then I'll trim my nose later, once I figure out exactly where it needs to be trimmed to. I went ahead in here and marked lines using my square perpendicular to the bottom of the fuselage. That way I can make sure that my firewall is perpendicular to everything. What you'll notice, if you look at some airplanes, my first 40 size trainer airplane had the engine tilted down, maybe 2 to 4 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and put the firewall perpendicular. And if I need to adjust my engine, I'll simply put some washers in between the motor mount and this firewall and tilt it that way. By the same method, I could also tilt it right or left to compensate for any P factor. Okay, now we'll just double check that everything is as it should be. Okay, looks good. Let me get a piece of Scotch tape to hold this top piece together, and we'll let it dry for a while. But so I've got my Turnigy Part 480 motor screwed in up top. I've got my speed controller ready to go. I just need to anchor it down. Receiver and batteries all in place. Anyway, the only thing left to do really, of course, is to put the cap back in here. Is to come up with some sort of a landing skid for right here. I'm probably just going to use a nice curved bent paper clip because the odds that the motor will stop in this position when it's time to land are very slim. It's probably going to end up like that or like that, and it's going to come in, dive in hard and snap the propeller off, or maybe break my firewall or bend the shaft of my motor, which I don't want. So I'll just put a little landing skid, out here. I'm not going to use cardboard for this because I don't want the area of a big piece of cardboard. That will move my center of pressure forward, which I don't want. I'm probably already going to have center of pressure issues with this setup that I'll have to probably rectify with a longer tail section or something, or a bigger tail. So I built a very rudimentary set of landing gear out of paper clips, taped them in place, and now we've got everything powered up, and we're going to do see if we can do a power test here and maybe taxi a couple inches. The next thing, of course, will be to do rudimentary flight tests, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.